We're good. We're live.
Everybody, Jason McKee here with the Buck Bomb. Tony, we have, one more week, or is it 2 more weeks?
I think it's 2 more weeks. We're on week 7.
Week 7. Things are really picked up. Obviously, lots of good deer going down. I
know of a deer that went down last week.
I did my annual hunt that I do every year with a group of my buddies. We do it every year during the week of Veterans Day. This year we actually hunted a brand new farm that I'd never been on before. So it was kind of neat. I enjoy the challenge from time to time of going into new areas and trying to figure out where the deer are, how they're moving, how they're utilizing the area. It's really just kind of a chess match. It's getting in there with the unknown and kind of figuring it out as you go, and then hopefully figuring it out before your hunt is over and scoring. So I did. I went in there, and actually what we're going to show you is kind of, we've talked about it before. We've done actually a couple Facebook Lives on mock scrapes. And again, in Illinois, we can't bait, can't use minerals, so I've been using mock scrapes for years and had a lot of success with them. So going into a new farm, not having any clue what kind of deer are on there, how many deer, the obvious thing for me to do from experience was to go in and set up a couple mock scrapes just to try and start getting some inventory of, are there even any mature deer on the farm? So
we had a lot of questions about mock scrapes after we did that in-depth video over the summer. So I think there's a lot of people out there that are interested in doing mock scrapes that maybe are just starting to put them into their hunting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is. I've never lived anywhere until Georgia where I could bait, so it wasn't even an option. So I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for baiting or feeding. I don't know if guys have had success killing over their feed or not. I mean, you see it in Texas some states, but I mean, I've literally had 160 plus inch deer shot standing in my mock scrapes before. So I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, it's worked well for me. Whether it's just from a scouting tool, or I mean, even for the purpose of hunting, it's kind of interesting. We killed 3 bucks all within 24 hours. 2 of the bucks, mine and then another 9-pointer, which you'll see him here in a minute, were both killed from the same stand. Then the other buck was killed from a stand I'd hung on the far other corner of the property. But interestingly enough, all of those deer were killed within 100 to 150 yards of these 2 mock scrapes that I set up. I set these mock scrapes up on October 14th. I set them up. Wait, what time was that? Yeah, 8 o'clock. I set them up that day. I was in there that day and set that up. And as you can see, the day I set it up at 8 o'clock that evening.
That didn't take long at all.
Nope. Nice young deer, and he went in there and just absolutely hammered it. Just wouldn't leave it alone. So you can see here, he was in there at 8:03, thrashed it around some, and then he liked it so much he comes back 5 minutes later and decides he's not done with it, going to check it out again. So that was the first night I put it out. So this is the second mock scrape. Now I killed my buck within less than 100 yards from this mock scrape. So you can see, again, I set it up the same day, at 10:15 while I was there, and 2 little bucks just going at it right in front of my mock scrape. So this is the tree. There's my forehead gland sitting right there, and then my mock scrapes there, and they're literally standing there fighting in my mock scrapes. And pretty much consistently, and this guy's really getting after it.
Getting on them hind legs.
Yeah. As you can see, I started a mock rub over here and rubbed some of the forehead gland on there. Now, what was interesting, I started that when I set the mock scrape up. When I went back, the first day I got back, so it would be November 4th, we snuck in there. Hadn't been in there since I had gone up and set those mock scrapes up. So me and a buddy went in there that afternoon, pulled the card, snuck back out to see what was in there. So besides when I started, there were 2 others that the deer had actually started right there in the same area around the mock scrape. So they definitely came in a short time, basically 2 weeks, and legitimately took over the scrape. I mean, you can see he's up here really working that branch. And then they started getting a little bit bigger, little by little. And again, this guy gets pretty aggressive with it. Good young deer. He'd be a really good deer. There's another good 10. Decided to show up and check it out. So I mean, pretty much, I mean, from the day I put them out, this is actually This buck here is actually the one that my buddy Brian ended up killing. Again, the stand's about 90 yards that way, directly behind in the picture. And this buck had obviously been in the area quite a bit and ended up showing back up, and Brian killed him. So interesting to see. I mean, he's clearly using his nose, and it leads him right to my mock scrape. Another good deer. It was in there. This is Brian's buck. So Brian's buck not only hit the one near where we ended up killing him, but I mean he hit this one. Now those scrapes were probably 150 to 200 yards apart. But this guy made his rounds and hit both. As you can see, he got after it pretty good.
Yeah.
So and there he is again. So that was on 10/27. The very next day he goes and pays a visit to the other mock scrape. Gets in there and works it a little bit. 10 came back. So he'd made multiple trips in to work it. This is Brian's buck again. A day after he'd been at the other scrape, and he decided to come and work this one again. So it was, and that's that same 10 that we'd seen earlier cruising through. So, I mean, 11:03, we started hunting the very next day, 11:04. So, as you can see, I mean, going in on a new farm, never, no history with it. Again, not having a clue what kind of deer were on that farm. Just setting up 2 mock scrapes let me know that there were some good deer on there. There were some good young deer. This guy's probably a 4-year-old. Good deer, be even better next year. The interesting thing is I did not get the buck that I ended up shooting. I did not get him at either of my mock scrapes. There he is. I didn't get him at either of my mock scrapes leading up to our hunt, and honestly the only reason I knew that deer was even on the farm was I jumped him as I was coming out Tuesday midday, coming out to meet my buddies and go to lunch.
So what day did you guys start hunting then? I got there Saturday midday, and we went ahead and went, like I said, we slipped in, pulled the cards, came out, and then just quickly went back in and hunted Saturday evening. So we kicked off our hunt November 4th, that Saturday afternoon. Sunday we really kind of got went back, reviewed the photos, looked at the map again, decided some areas where we wanted to hang some stands. So Sunday the weather wasn't supposed to be great. It was in the 70s, almost 80. So we decided just to take that day to go in and actually start getting some stands set for the week following, and ended up having a good front move through about mid-afternoon. Actually had a hailstorm. We got out of it just in time. Really?
So I would say we really started hunting Monday. Honestly, the rut activity was not what I expected. After seeing so many bucks on camera moving just the week prior, I honestly expected we'd see more rut activity, more of the mature class bucks. We really didn't. Lots of young bucks chasing does, lots of does, and it was a pretty slow week. And then, as I said, Tuesday I was coming out for midday and bumped this guy up right off the edge of a bean field. He was locked down with a doe already, and so I knew he would stay with the doe. So we kind of played it safe and just kind of hunted around the area. And I forget what day it was. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. I decided I wanted, because of the wind direction, we had steady northeast winds. So I didn't want to be on the top side, which is actually how I boogered them up Tuesday. My wind was blowing right to them where they were bedded as I was cutting across this bean field, and they jumped up and took off. So I knew I didn't want to be on the top side with my wind blowing into the cover where they were locked down. So I worked my way around to the bottom. Ended up, my stand that I killed him from was only 120 yards from the stand I'd started at earlier in the week. And so that was Tuesday when I jumped him. I moved that stand on the downwind side of the ridge that they'd been locked down on Thursday. Midday I went in Thursday and hung the stand. And went in there Friday morning. It was nice and cold. And went in there.
What kind of temps did you have?
It got cooler every day as the week went on. Friday was the coldest. It was in the 20s Friday morning. Nice, good, crisp morning. I don't know if it ever got out of the 40s Friday, so it was a good day. It was one of those days where you could legitimately sit on the stand all day if you wanted to and be comfortable.
Hey,
so
real quick, Perry asked what kind of camo you're wearing in your picture there.
That is QU Verde.
One of those new modern patterns they're coming out with.
So hunted that stand Friday morning, and I actually heard him grunt twice, and he actually sounded really close. Now this farm, one of the most challenging parts of this farm was the whole eastern section, which is probably 250 acres. What's not tillable had been timbered, so you got a lot of new growth, real thick. Most of it's really kind of like a thicket, and so it was. We didn't have a whole lot of options of mature trees to hang stands in, so. And your visibility wasn't great, but I mean I could tell by the sound. Even one I could tell was a mature buck, just that deep guttural grunt, and he sounded really close, but I couldn't make him out up on the ridge. He grunted twice, and so I slipped out for lunch and came back in that afternoon. Went right back to the same stand, and it was interesting. As I was walking in, the morning before, I actually sat on the ground. That's how I picked this stand site. Again, I wanted to be downwind. I didn't have any stands right in the area I wanted to look at, so I decided I was just going to go ninja style and hunt from the ground. So I actually made myself a little natural brush blind next to a tree right along a pretty good trail. There's a pond with a draw, and the draw comes out and empties out into this bottom, and so I set up right just east of where that draw opens up into the bottom. And I had a buddy hunting up top in a tree line between the cut cornfield and the cut bean field above me, and he was texting all morning, bucks running does in and out of the timber above me. Nothing was happening where I was at until about 9 o'clock, and then it seemed like every doe that had been chased just dropped off right in my lap. I mean, I had deer literally dropping off 5 yards from me while I'm on the ground. I'm at eye level. I can count their eyelashes. Luckily, my scent control worked because I never got winded, but I had 7 does all drop off and walk within 5 yards of me, and they all worked their way back up the draw toward this pond. And then I had 2 bucks come through. Actually, the buck that Brian shot, he was one of the bucks that came through that morning, again, 5 yards from me. So I knew I was in a good spot. So that's when I decided Wednesday morning that I was going to put a stand right there in that area. And sure enough, so I heard him grunting twice Friday morning, so I knew he was still in the area. I went back in there Friday afternoon. As I was walking in, there was 2 trails. We actually refer to it as X marks the spot. You had two trails perfectly crossing each other. One of them went up the kind of side hilled up the ridge to the pond levee. The other one was basically running perpendicular to the ridge. It's an east-west running ridge, and so in that just to the side of the X, I actually took one of our new scents that we'll be releasing next year, and I actually emptied the entire can on the ground. And I guess I was in the stand hour and a half, and a doe comes flying down the trail, and a farmer had started combining the cornfield probably an hour before that to the south of me. And I thought, I remember thinking when I heard the combine start up, I remember thinking it's probably going to push a lot of deer that have been in that standing corn back in here. And so when I first saw her running at me, I just assumed that she'd been bumped out of the corn and was kind of just running around trying to figure out what she was going to do. She ran right to the spot where I'd sprayed the new scent and locked them up, stuck her nose in it, threw her head back up, turned around, ran back the way she'd come, and she did kind of like a big circle around me. And when she got about perfectly parallel to me, she took off straight back towards the corn. So at that point, the entire time she had her tail up, I thought, she's acting a little odd. And I mean, it wasn't even 30 minutes later. I was actually keeping my eye on that trail just in case a buck did trail her up. And I'd had a lot of squirrels, obviously, making a lot of racket around me. And I just happened to look to my left, back up towards the draw that was going up to that pond, and saw movement. And at first, I just assumed it was a squirrel. We had some fox squirrels up there that looked like Labradors. And so I noticed the movement, just kind of watched it, and then he popped his head up. And I mean, he's one of those deer, as soon as I saw him, I knew he was a shooter. So at that point, he was probably only 35, 40 yards from me. So I went ahead and stood up, grabbed my bow, there was a hedge tree at about 25 yards. When he got behind that hedge tree, I went ahead and came to full draw, and he angled around perfectly, and he got right to the spot where, again, I'd sprayed the scent as I was coming in and locked it up, nose deep right in it. I could actually, at that point, he's between 10 and 12 yards, and I'm at full draw just waiting. The problem was I had a little bush covering I could see basically everything from his nose to about 5 inches of his neck, so his entire vitals were covered at that point. So I'm holding the draw, waiting for him, and I can literally see him licking his nostrils as he's working that scent in there. And he took about 2 steps out, threw his head up, and gave me a wide open shot. And I actually drove it down through his shoulder, dropped him in his tracks. So I had about a 2-yard tracking job, so it worked out well.
That's the easy kind. Doesn't always happen that way.
No. So, I mean, moral of the story as it relates to buck bomb is, I mean, obviously lots of success with my mock scrapes as far as getting that inventory in those 2 to 3 weeks before we went up there to a brand new farm. Got to see at least what kind of deer were on there. And then, I mean, this guy right here, that's what stopped him. Again, it's a new scent that we'll be releasing next year. And not only did it get the doe's attention, but when he came out, he locked the brakes up as soon as his nose hit it and stayed there. Like I said, he was definitely curious and trying to figure out exactly what that scent was. And he took about 2 more steps after getting a nose full, and that'll be the last scent checking he'll be doing. So
when are we gonna find out what the new scent is?
Well, I mean, I can go ahead and tell you pretty much what it is. Honestly, what's interesting is I started using it for the mock scrapes. And we're actually just referring to it as our scrape generator. So it's a new formulation. It'll come in an aerosol. It'll also come in liquid format. I carried the cans with me just for convenience on that hunt. I actually had some bottles of it as well that I'd used in my scrapes. But since I'd considered using it as kind of a scrape, a scent line, and honestly I forgot about it. So I got right to my stand and I thought, oh man, I've got that scrape generator in my pack, so I just pulled it out, and again I just emptied the can right there on the ground where I ultimately ended up shooting him. So it's a new formulation that again we're calling it the scrape generator because really what it is, it's designed. The theory behind it is it's the ideal scent to put on the ground below your licking branch, and more or less what we're trying to replicate is more than one deer visiting that scrape. I mean, obviously, as each deer comes to that scrape, they've all got their own little individual scent, so they're leaving their own little individual markers, and that's essentially what the scrape generator is. We're essentially trying to help generate a scrape by convincing the first deer that comes to it that, hey, I'm not the first one here. There's already been a few deer in here to hit this scrape. So, like I said, I mean, the results I got out of it on my mock scrapes and even stopping him in his tracks, I mean, I would say there's
impressed. a little results that came from it.
Yeah. So pretty excited about getting that out there next year. If our fellow hunters have as much success with it, whether it's with their mock scrapes or even using it hunting as I did this year, I think we'll have some happy hunters out there. The interesting thing is, it's worked so well. I guess I'm really kind of the guinea pig because I actually combined it obviously with our forehead gland. Synthetic scent to get my licking branches and my mock rubs started. So I mean, the idea right now is let's put them together, and do a mock scrape kit to where you walk in the store, you've got both of these, in a kit to where you can basically just grab it and hey, there's your mock scrape. You're not having to grab multiple items necessarily. Just grab the mock scrape kit. So we're going to be excited to get that out there for next year. And again, I've kind of done the trial run with them, and I've had success with them, so I have no reason to believe that other hunters won't. So pretty excited about it.
Anytime you can get something new out there and have success with it and see that it actually does work, and then the next year you can use it more widespread because it's a part of your arsenal.
Well, like I said, I've been doing mock scrapes for a long time, and so that is one of. I mean, this is not that big of a farm, and frankly, I would usually have more than 2 mock scrapes on. I mean, this farm was roughly just under 400 acres. I would typically have more than 2 mock scrapes on a farm that size. I just didn't have time this year. It was kind of a last minute last minute change of plans to go to this farm. So I just didn't really have time to do all the preseason, scouting and prep work that I would usually do. So I needed to be able to get in there quickly, again, 2-3 weeks before the hunt, and go ahead and do what little bit of scouting, recon, if you will, as I could. And so I've learned over the years, one of the most difficult things about for me at least, with setting up multiple mock scrapes is remembering what all I'm going to need as I go out and set them up. I don't want to be going out there, multiple times to set up multiple mock scrapes. Ideally, I want to go out and I want to be able to set. If I'm going to do 2, I want to do those 2 the same day. If I'm going to do 5, I want to do those 5 the same day. However many I want to do them within a day or 2. Get them all done. Get out. Let my scent, dissipate from the area and not interrupt those scrapes again. Let the deer find them and start interacting with them. So that's kind of the thing. It's I took our stuff in individually, and luckily I didn't forget anything, so I was able to set up a mock scrape. But again, the idea, they've worked so well. The next step was, so how do we make it easier for people that want to use, try mock scrapes, or they already do, and they've already found the success. But again, it's like, how do we make it easier for a guy just to, head to his property and not worry about, did I forget what I need to start this scrape? So that's where the success of what I did, past experience, how do we take all that, combine it to make our fellow hunters' lives easier? Well, let's just make a kit out of it. So we're I'm personally excited about having a dedicated mock scrape kit. That again, you can just go pull it off the shelf. You can drive straight to your farm and start your mock scrape. So I'll be excited to get that one out there and see how other people, how their experiences go with that.
Yeah, we got a few comments that kind of rolled in while you're going there. Carl Drake said, "Congrats on a stud deer, boss." That's a real good one. Sounds like things are picking up in North Dakota up there. I'm sure it's got to be a little chilly up there by now.
North Dakota's that's a good state to hunt. I've been there a couple times.
And Corey says Buck Bomb is the bomb. He got his biggest to date this year, and it brought him right in on a drag.
Congratulations to Corey then. Good job.
Yeah.
All right, so enough about my hunt and my experiences. Tony, it's time for the weekly giveaway, I think.
That's right. It's time to give away the extras 6-pack of Buck Bomb hat.
And actually, I did use some extras, and a couple of my buddies did. Actually, one of the guys that went with me never killed a buck with his bow. He got his first bow buck. I killed mine on Friday evening. He turned around and shot his first bow buck Saturday morning, and then out of the same stand I killed mine from, another buddy of mine from Maine killed a 9-pointer out of the exact same stand. So, like I said, within 24 hours, we put 3 bucks on the ground. So it was a slow week, but it really picked up at the end of the week, and we kind of racked it up all in a short period. But anyway, the buddy of mine that killed the buck Saturday morning, I'd given him a few cans of extras when we got there, and he had a pretty cool encounter where he was sitting in a draw that had a few timbered fingers that ran off into a cut cornfield. Well, he was sitting on basically in between some of the fingers. And as he's sitting there, he looks over. He was on an afternoon hunt, and there's 3 or 4 does over here on the other side of this timbered finger, and there's a little buck out there just running around, chasing him ragged. And so, more or less, just to mess with him, he pulls his extras out and just kind of almost like a wind checker, just lets a few puffs out as the wind was going that direction. And he said, it was almost immediate. He let out a few bursts of it, and the little buck literally stopped messing with the does, started following his nose, using his nose the way he should, and we ended up working his way right underneath the stand. He actually got video of him coming right underneath him, just wanting to know, where that scent was coming from. So even the young guy, he knew what he was looking for. He wasn't quite sure, but he knew to follow his nose, and he ended up bringing him right over to Ethan's stand. So the extras, again, so far from firsthand experience as far as my group of hunting, our scents, I would say, performed pretty well this week, or last week, I'm sorry, in Illinois. All right, so six pack of extras. I know the last name. What was the first name?
Craig
Wall. There we go. Craig Wall, congratulations. You are the weekly winner of our extra 6-pack. Send us a message on our Facebook page. Let us know your address, and you also get a free Buck Bomb hat. There are 3 to choose from. You can see those on our web store. Take a look at those. Let us know which one of the 3 hats you want, and then also our address, and we'll get you your extra 6-pack. Get us that information quick, because the rut's here, so we want to get it to you before the fun is over. So shoot us a message. Congratulations. Hopefully you'll be able to get it out, try it yourself, and hopefully it helps bring you some success. Now, Tony, you had to handle Facebook Live last week since I was gone. I've been a little scared to go and see how good of a job you did. So I'm just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and revisit. Probably the biggest part of the Rut Report, obviously, is just knowing, getting to share in other people's successes, knowing what's happening in other areas. I've even enjoyed just kind of knowing, what's happening in, North Dakota, what's happening in North Carolina. So it's kind of neat just to see what's happening and the successes that other people are having in other parts of the country. So that's a big part of the Rut Report. Probably the most exciting part is the grand prize. So we have 2 weeks left. So we'll have 2 more weekly winners, and then once we shut her down, then we'll compile all of the shares through I believe it was 9 weeks total, yeah. Through all 9 weeks, everyone who shared the Rut Report posts, their name will go into the drawing for the grand prize. We'll announce that at the ATA show in January. Do you remember the dates, Tony?
11 through 13.
Okay, we'll just pretend like that's right.
I'm 95% sure.
Either way, we'll make sure you guys know when it is, and we will do a Buck Bomb Live from ATA where we will announce the winner of the grand prize. The winner of the grand prize next year is going to go right up the road from where I hunted this year, where I've been hunting for several years now.
Try to kill one of those.
Yeah, and again, this is a good deer, but there are I'll put it this way: when we ran to the processor, another guy pulls up almost at the exact same time, and laying in the back of his truck is a 202-inch with 22 scoreable points on it. So it's a good area. There's some good deer in the area. So anyway, the grand prize winner is going to win a hunt next year, first week of November, in Illinois with Big Neck Outfitters. So you'll be hunting right in the same areas where I've had a lot of successes myself on good deer. A lot of my buddies and friends, same thing. We've been fortunate to hunt some good grounds right there in that same area. So looking forward to seeing who wins that, even me. I'm going to go on them with that hunt, so that's all the better. Tony will be busy on another hunt. So it'll be fun to take someone up there next fall and hopefully get them on hopefully the best deer they've ever had a chance to kill. So again, keep sharing the posts each week. It's a 9-week long promotion that we ran with the Rut Report. So if you've shared it every week, that means your name goes in the pot 9 times. So hopefully you've been sharing it each week, and hopefully you share it over the final 2 weeks, and you'll get your name in there the maximum of 9 times. Just gives you 9 chances to win that grand prize. So again, I'm excited about that. I've done these hunt giveaways before, and I did one a few years back where we gave away a hunt, and actually a guy from not too far from here, about an hour from here in northwest Georgia, won it. Came up, and I've mentioned his name before. He's the one that actually shot the first morning of his hunt, shot a 162-inch 10-pointer standing in one of my mock scrapes. I actually got the deer. The camera I had monitoring the mock scrape caught him walking to the mock scrape literally 15, 20 seconds before John shot him. So it was exciting for me to see someone like John kill the biggest deer he'd ever seen on a hunt. And so the older I get, the more I enjoy, more and more I enjoy other people's successes too. So it'll be exciting for me to spend a week up there next year with some lucky winner, and like I said, hopefully that whoever that is will have a crack at the best deer they've ever seen. So until next week, Tony, I think next week maybe we'll give them a little intro into some of the other new and exciting things we got coming for Buck Bomb in 2018.
Yeah, I think we're changing up the schedule a bit next week too, since it's Thanksgiving week.
Try it to be Monday, so we'll do Buck Bomb Monday. so that we're not bugging everybody on their Thanksgiving holidays.
Yeah, we want you guys to be not worrying about us, but with your families.
Well, most people will be in a food coma anyway.
Yes.
So.
I mean, I probably will be.
Yeah, you will be, Tony. So again, we'll throw up a new post tomorrow, and we'll make sure that we're clear on Facebook. The Buck Bomb Live next week will be on Monday, not Thursday. And man, we're gonna have a short. You better be sharing quick, because we're gonna have a short window for people to get their names in the hat.
That's right.
So as soon as you see that post tomorrow, start sharing it and get your name in there, because we'll announce the winner Monday of week 8. And then there's just 1 week left, Tony. We're about done with the rut report.
That's right. And then all those left is to tally up everybody and announce the grand prize winner.
I'm gonna
at ATA.
let you tally up all the names, because I'm sure we're well into the hundreds.
It's a pretty good sized list.
I
but
bet.
like you was saying, if you share it nine weeks, that's 9 entries in the pot.
Well, and we may get creative with who we let announce the winner at the ATA show.
Yeah.
So
I think we've seen Jason on here now.
yeah, I think everybody's seen enough of me. Clearly, they've seen enough of you too. Well, although they might appreciate your new beard, Tony.
That's why I'm on this side of the camera right now.
we've been giving Tony a hard time by not growing a beard for about 1.5 years now, and we finally broke him. All
Yeah,
right.
it's hunting season.
So until Monday, thanks for joining us again. Keep the reports coming in, letting us know how you guys are doing in the field, and keep sharing the posts and get your name in the hat for not only the weekly drawing, but the grand prize. See you Monday.